It's crazy what walking will do. So we are coming up on about almost 24 hours after kind of the aftermath of this crazy journey I went on of walking 100,000 steps in a day, just over 50 miles, about 52 miles in one day. Pretty crazy in 21 hours. So I started around 5 a.m. On Sunday, and I finished at just after 2 a.m. on Monday. I'm trying to do the math in my head. So it was a crazy journey. I decided, I always had it on the back of my mind, like I mentioned earlier yesterday in the video, that I kind of had in the back of my head where I wanted to do 100,000. But I didn't know like how 75 would feel, and 75 was definitely a challenge. What was crazy to me too was how much I ate and how many calories I burned. So generally in a day, I aim for about 1,000 calories burned. Yesterday, I burned about 5,500. So 5.5 times the amount than I normally do, which is nuts. And that's what the walk, that's crazy to me. The other thing is I ate about close to 6,000 calories in a day, right? And it didn't even hardly feel like it. It's nuts. Well, I had so much caffeine too, like probably twice the amount of caffeine that I normally do, and just ran right through me. Drank tons of water, didn't hardly, it was crazy. It was a crazy thing experiencing it with like how I felt and everything like that. My back is tight today, my legs are tight, my legs are a bit sore. More than anything, my feet hurt. The muscles inside of my feet would cramp up, and I started developing blisters. I now currently have the biggest blister of my life on my heel. Not a joke. That's probably the worst part physically. Mentally, it just was a weird thing. I knew from the beginning, like something big had to happen and get in the way for me not to get to 75,000 steps. I was very confident I could do that. And then it started like getting in my head, you should do 100,000, you should do 100,000 each. I'm like, yeah, should I do it or whatever? And then I posted it on Instagram, and I was like, well, I gotta prove to myself, like, or now everybody knows, so I better do this, right? So it was good accountability that way. And what I also found interesting about like kind of the mental aspect is I think the hardest part about stuff like that is knowing how much further you have to go, right? So the anticipation of it. I actually think this applies to like a fat loss journey too, right? People feel so like they have so far to go, fat loss or muscle building, but especially fat loss, fitness journeys in general. I have so far to go, I don't even want to start. Or I have so far to go, I'm just gonna give up. It's not worth it, right? But there's so much value in the process. And what I learned about myself throughout the process, you know, like there's so much value in that. So if you can really like reframe your mind, and most of you probably won't walk 100,000 steps in a day, which you probably shouldn't. It's kind of stupid. But the point is, when you go on your own journey, your health and fitness journey, there's so much value in the process. I talk to people, I talk to my clients about this, where, you know, if someone's about to climb Mount Everest, and maybe heard this before, but they're about to climb Mount Everest, and then a helicopter comes by and says, hey, you want to fly to the top? Would they say, yeah, I'll just jump on and fly to the top? Most likely not. Maybe every now and again someone might, but most likely if they're prepared and ready to climb, and they have the right mindset, they want to climb, right? It'd be way easier to get to the top, and it would be cool to just be at the top, but it is so much more gratifying when you work for it, right? And it's the same thing with a fat loss or a fitness journey, or this journey for me, where it's like, man, it's so easy to get caught up in our own emotions in the moment with this kind of stuff, where how you feel and make excuses, and knowing like, like yesterday when I was at, I don't know, 40,000 steps or something, 20 miles in, that's a long ways. And I'm like thinking, you know, in my head, you know, as I was thinking about 100,000, it's like, I'm not even halfway, right? And so it wasn't even the physical part, like, okay, can my feet hold up in that? I mean, that's in the back of your head, but it's more like, can I do this, right? And so you have all these self-doubts and stuff. And so I think just plugging away at it, reframing your mind where you're really enjoying the process, enjoying the checkpoints, and learning how to handle that. I mean, I think there's a lot of value in that. So anyways, that mentality is very interesting. That last little bit was by far, not even close, physically the hardest for me. And mentally, it was very challenging. But at the same time, I knew I wasn't going to give up. Like, I knew I was going to do it. It just was like, okay, I got 25,000 steps left. I'm going to do it. It's 10 p.m. I still have 25,000 steps left. I have to basically go a half marathon, but I know I'm going to do it, right? So it's kind of interesting to kind of dive into the mindset on that, because when you're doing something for 21 hours, you have a lot of time to think too, so, which is good and bad. But anyways, would I do it again is the last point. Probably not. If I had to, absolutely I could. If it was for a good cause or something, yeah, I would. I guess I would do it again, but I just don't see the reason to, right? No, I would do it again, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, but it would have to be for a very good reason. So, and the last thing, of course, I'm going to mention again. I've already mentioned this before, but this is a really important point. I've been raising money for the Ronald McDonald House while doing this journey, and the donations are still being accepted. 100% of the donations go to the Ronald McDonald House, which Ronald McDonald houses are all across the country. I'm raising money for this specific one in Boise, Idaho. But basically, if you don't know what Ronald McDonald houses do, they house and they take care of families that are traveling with a sick child for medical reasons and stuff. So it's a really, really cool organization, and I wanted to give to it and donate to it and raise awareness for it and collect money for them. 100%, like I said, go to them. So if you feel led, if you feel like this is something you can do, every dollar counts. Literally a dollar is awesome. And so I really appreciate that. I'll put it in the link below, and we'll keep chipping away at that too.